In August of 1989, a shocking event took place at SeaWorld, San Diego. Something that would scar the audience forever. Something they couldn't forget even if they tried to. A bloodbath between two massive orcas. But how did it come to this? To understand, we need to take a deeper look prior the event. This happened during SeaWorld's famous Orca Encounter Show. One of the stars of the show was Orchid, a tiny orca calf and SeaWorld's pride and joy. In this clip, she's less than a year old. Back then, SeaWorld San Diego had three orcas. Corky, the oldest, who was captured in Canada, Orchid, born at SeaWorld, and her mother, Candu, who was originally from Iceland. These three orcas performed daily shows, bringing in most of the park's revenue. From the moment she was born, Orchid was trained to entertain people. That was the whole reason SeaWorld bred her. As for Orchid's father, he sadly died just days after her birth at the same park. It's also worth mentioning that the two adult orcas, Candu and Corky, were not related and didn't speak the same language. They used different dialects, as orcas do in the wild. Pairing them together was unnatural and caused many problems later on. Now let's jump to the day of the tragic incident. During one of the shows, Candu's baby Orchid was spending time with Corky. While Corky wasn't Orchid's birth mother, the two had a strong bond. SeaWorld had trained Corky to act as a surrogate mother to Orchid, and they became very close, just for their selfish benefit during performing. This bond didn't go unnoticed by Candu, the real mother. Watching her baby with Corky, Candu felt threatened or jealous. Suddenly, Candu charged at Corky at full speed, but Corky managed to dodge the attack. Candu, however, hit the pool wall head first. The impact was devastating. It broke her jaw and severed major arteries in her nasal passage. Bleeding heavily, Candu was moved to the rear pool. Blood poured from her nose for 45 minutes, and her condition quickly worsened. During this time, baby Orchid stayed right by her mother's side, not leaving her for a second. As Candu struggled to breathe, blood sprayed from her blowhole instead of water. Trainers and veterinarians stood by and watched as her condition was getting worse. Every time she took a breath, blood came out instead of water. A horrible sight. Eventually, poor Candu sank to the bottom of the pool and died. In a heartbreaking scene, baby Orchid was left circling her mother's lifeless body, not yet understanding what had happened. Even looking at this clip makes my eyes water. 36 years have passed since the incident occurred. But what happened to Orchid and Corky? Orchid is still alive today and kept at San Diego SeaWorld. She's 37 years old now. Sad part is, her conditions didn't get any better, still living in a concrete pool-sized tank. All of this took a toll on her mental health. She even attacked one of the trainers in 2002, who kept putting her leg in Orchid mouth for fun. So Orchid grabbed her leg and pulled her underwater over and over again. The life-threatening situation lasted minutes. The trainer was eventually pulled out, suffering only minor injuries. Corky, on the other hand, is 65 years old now. The oldest captive orca is believed to have lived in captivity longer than any other living orca. After miscarrying so many babies, one can only imagine her state.